bet.
Mm-hmm. It was great architecture design. Put a big old glass ceiling on a building and expect
Not in the theater though.
No, not in the theater. No.
Because that'd be a little bright.
All right, Adam. We got good stuff coming out this weekend.
We do. I got a bunch of movies coming out.
Move on.
In radio speech, let's move on.
Yep.
I guess we'll start it out with John Travolta's Gotti. That's coming out. It's about John Gotti, the famous mobster. It's based off a true story, obviously.
Teflon Don.
Yep.
Teflon Don.
That's what they used to call him because he used to weasel out of everything. Witnesses would disappear, and stuff. So nothing. They could never touch him.
Oh, I see.
Right.
That explains. Cause, the movie's really about murder trials, him going to prison. So yeah, it's really more about it's really a true story based kind of mobster movie. Not really not like some of the other mobster movies that we're used to.
Well, probably because they can get the footage and the court report and all that kind of thing, whereas maybe not. People are speaking up so much about his actual life, which is what people would want to see.
And he had a big ego, and he kind of showed off a lot that he was the big monster, and they couldn't touch him,
See, I would rather see that stuff than sit in the courtroom stuff. I'm just saying.
Well,
sorry, Adam.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I haven't heard the greatest things, but it is John Travolta, and I do love John Travolta.
Absolutely.
So I'd say give it a shot. It's probably still pretty good. Next we have Sicario de Toledo. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
I wouldn't know if you didn't, so let's go with that.
It's a great movie. It's basically Sicario 2. If you haven't seen Sicario, it is on Hulu. I highly recommend it. I really enjoy the movie. It's got a great twist at the end. In this one, it stars Benedict Del Toro, Josh Brolin, also known as Thanos.
Benicio. Yeah. I actually know how to pronounce that one. Benicio del Toro.
Mm-hmm. He's basically Josh Brolin plays a CIA agent who hires the Benicio del Toro, who's basically who is basically this kind of gun for hire to fight against the market.
He's a hitman.
Yeah, he's a hitman. That's actually where the Sicario name comes from.
Oh.
But he's a hitman against the cartels.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
On our side.
So it's going to be just rocking full of action. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a fun one.
Cool. And then we also have Uncle Drew. That one actually looks pretty good with Shaq in it.
Yeah. So it actually has a ton of basketball stars in it. So you have Uncle Drew. It's about a guy who puts together a streetball team to compete in the Harlem Streetball Tournament. That has a huge cash prize. But his team at the last moment leaves him. So he has to put together this team with a guy named Uncle Drew, who's an old man and people don't take him seriously, but he's actually played by Kyrie Irving. So it turns out that this Uncle Drew is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. So they go on a road trip and start farming up his old team, which is full of Shaq, Chris Webber, Reggie Miller, Nate Robinson, and Lisa Leslie.
Cool.
So he has this old team that comes together, and kind of the whole theme behind it is that you don't grow old, or you don't grow old because you don't play. It's because you don't play, you grow old.
Oh, well, that's good. And then finally you have Won't You Be My Neighbor, which I found out is a Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood thing.
Yeah, it's actually a documentary about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I really did go really into deep about the show, about Mr. Rogers himself.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he actually broke a lot of walls apparently throughout the show, and broke a lot of barriers. With considering that when it was coming out, he broke a lot of racism barriers, or just barriers around mental disabilities, all sorts of cool stuff. It looks like a really, really good documentary, and they say it's going to win a lot of awards, actually.
Well, great. And then we have some tickets to give away for that just a little bit later, and you get tickets. We always say get them early, and because of all the Dream Lounger seats.
Definitely get them early. I'm still selling out an hour before my showtime, so get them online either through Fandango, great third-party site, or our website, marcustheaters.com.
Yep.
Both great sites.
And even the tickets that we give away, you're still going to want to go in there and pick your seat. Pick your seat earlier.
Shame on you. All right.
Anyway, thanks so much, Adam.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. 18 minutes now after 9 o'clock. Disturb Theater coming up next. Having a beer on the beach is today's episode. We'll be right back.
We're just setting things on fire.